Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to the Remake review, the mini-series where I share my thoughts and feelings about 3 chapters at a time from the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This review will contain spoilers all the way throughout for the whole game and lore, so if you are yet to finish the game or it's a 1997 original, please click off the video and save it for when you've finished either or. With that being said, let's mosey. The first chapter of Final Fantasy VII Remake has to be one of the best openings I've ever seen in a game, period. The intro cinematic is beautiful with very subtle details such as the black bird representing Sephiroth with the one wing black thing shit, with the music also being tied to him with the chorus to his theme song being sung. The intro shows us what life is like on the upper plates of Midgar, something we don't see in the game. While we do see what the upper plate is like during both bombing runs and the Shinra break-in, this gives us insight onto daily life of the public rather than Shinra jobs, etc., things like that, and it's really nice, to be honest, because we don't get to see this anywhere in the original either. After a beautiful shot of our favourite girl, more foreshadowing and dickhead civilians, we get an amazing title drop followed by a smooth as fuck cutscene to gameplay transition. We play through a well-structured tutorial as we enter Markor Reactor 1, which when we do, character personalities begin to shine. It becomes abundantly clear what Barrett's motifs are and that Cloud is a little bit of a prick. We continue exploring to a fantastic orchestral score until we reach the bomb plant location. We are presented with our first choice of the game with some more foreshadowing, which does make a difference in both dialogue and later events.
Huh. That long enough for you?
After this, we are greeted to a challenging but amazing first boss fight that is accompanied by one of the best tracks in the game. If you simply try to spam attacks on the boss rather than listen to the character's feedback, you're going to struggle. The game rewards the player for being brave and experimenting with the resources available to them by making this boss far easier while educating the player on how the combat works. It's really good stuff. Once the sentinel is down, it's your job to escape the reactor within the time limit selected. Once accomplished, we are shown Shinra destroying their own reactor as our bomb has failed. This may not be impactful the first time we see it, and it may seem a little bit, wonky, but once you learn it's all being done to convince the public, we are siding with long-term enemies Wutai, which players of the 1997 original will recognise who they are, but newer players not so much. It all makes sense, and it is fucking amazing how everything links together. And this is all done in the opening chapter of the game. It doesn't take any, it doesn't need to go any further than the first hour of the game to cram all of this information down our throats, but at the same time making it enough information for us to sustain, take in and remember. It's really well handled, and honestly I really do think it's great. The amount of polish and attention to detail and care put into the first hour of this game is unbelievable. Chapter 2 starts off with us hiding in some sort of tunnel after the overly big explosion from the reactor. Here we see Avalanche's personality shine a little bit more than before.
Man, what is that? I've never smelled anything so foul. Oh, it's me. Gotta do something about that, and soon.
Upon escaping, we see the destruction caused to Sector 8 because of Shinra's move and seeing our main cast in devastation, as they think it was their fault. Now this is something that the game does a lot better than the original, as it makes you feel like you're the guilty one, and it just shows you the impact of the world and how much you're impacting the daily lives of people, and just what the destruction is. We don't get that sense of destruction in the original. We just see a couple of sparking wires and running around polygons. That's it. It's really great. Barrett provides a speech that shows us he cares for his team, and we move on to roaming the streets, and it is utterly chaos. Every NPC is looking in horror at the damage while also giving the individual remarks on the predicament. This is obviously done to make us feel wrong for what we did, and like I said before, it certainly works. It really does hit hard. Jessie pops up to give us a materia for, saving her life, and like I said before, if you chose the shorter time limit being 20 minutes, you get a reward of 2 high potions and a bottle of ether. Now this is obviously what I mentioned before about certain choices having certain impacts. We then encounter a burning building with Cloud beginning to have flashbacks to the Nibelheim accident that newcomers aren't yet aware of. We then see our main baddie Sephiroth standing in a pit of flames as Cloud begins to worry on the sight. He does disappear, however, as it was a vision. Well, until he appears again behind Cloud. This time for real! So we are led to follow him as the streets slowly become a burning Nibelheim, which by the way is a very nice detail. I really do love that. Until Cloud confronts L'Oreal's main man. He dumps some exposition on us in a very impactful way as he spares no details. Then out of nowhere he becomes Scar and asks us to
run away.
In a very Scar-like voice, I must say. Cloud goes for the kill, but Sephiroth vanishes. This will likely be confusing to new players who are unaware that this isn't really Sephiroth, but very effective on those who are aware or have some idea of what's going on here. We continue forth and bump into everyone's tear trigger, Aerith. And oh my god, she's so precious. Her voice, provided by actor and YouTuber Brianna White, is so perfect for the role. In fact, almost every casting choice in this game is absolutely perfect. There's only two voices I don't really like, and that is unfortunately Sephiroth himself and a certain spoiler figure. Not going to reveal that just yet. Just compared to George Newbern's voice of Sephiroth, you know, from Advent Children and Crisis Core, this one stinks. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not bad by any means, and I am a fan of the guy who plays him. He's Superman, for Christ's sake, but it just doesn't sound as menacing as George Newbern. I don't know. Anyways, Aerith quickly invokes some quick questions into our mind by doing this, but soon makes us feel so warm inside as she offers us a flower out of kindness despite Cloud being a dick. And, dude, the music. If you know what happens to this character, this scene will hit you hard, mainly because of the music or whatever. But, yeah. If you also paid attention to the intro cinematic and your surroundings, you will notice that Midgard is entirely industrial and that no wildlife, like no plant life exists. We do have some animals, but apart from that, that's it. No living plant life. So seeing a living flower being sold by Aerith and, her carrying some at the start of the game as well, it makes you think, like, why is this girl special and what is her connection with these flowers? It's a good way to introduce. Anyways, we also greeted to the Whispers and their ghostly nature as they show up around us, which, by the way, is very confusing, and I still don't really understand them or why we can't see them unless Aerith, grabs our hand. I really don't know. Hey, at least they have a cool theme song. When they go through a series of intense yet awesome battles as we head towards the station, we eventually see a troop recognize the Buster Sword, leading those who are aware of Cloud's past that this troop could have been in Crisis Core or with Zack or Angeal at any point in the past. But this may be confusing to those who aren't aware, which is a big problem this game has, but I'm not going to mention that in this video. Cloud makes his escape onto a train, which is conveniently the same one Avalanche is on. We see panic among pedestrians as they are all in knots after what we did. The chapter closes off as Barrett reveals his schmexy face to us while giving Cloud a bit of realization talk, and it really does get you thinking of why Cloud is the way he is and why Midgard is built this way. While Chapter 3 might not be one of the more interesting chapters in terms of the action, it is certainly interesting in the way it plays out and what it shows us. It begins as we arrive in Sector 7 slums and our crew, apart from Cloud of course, give a celebration after their successful mission. If you stop to look at the illuminated slum skybox, by the way, you will be in awe. The main central pillar illuminated green and the red it just looks so damn good, as do the fake suns from under the top of the plates. Honestly, it's an incredible first sight. We then enter the heart of the slums, and my god is it great. Like, it's just the way it pans and we can just see how everyone's working as a big community. They all bond as friends and neighbours, and how they make it all out of nothing but scrap that's basically dropped from the upper plates is jaw-dropping. We approach 7th Heaven and we get our first look at every 30-year-old's first waifu, and I will admit she is absolutely stunning in this game. They did a really good job with Tifa's model. In fact, everyone's model in this game is fantastic. They all reflect their original concept design while modernising them too. But I have the same problem with the two people I mentioned before, being Sephiroth and someone else. I have a problem with their model in the game. Sephiroth just looks a little bit weird. That's probably because I'm used to seeing him in Advent Children, because he looks like really pale and demonic. But in this game he just looks... I don't know, it's hard to describe. He looks a little bit like a serpent because of the eyes, but at the same time he's got a more like crazy human look than than like a demon look. It's really weird and I'm not going to get into it. We then see that Barrett has a very young daughter and their reunion is actually so cute. I actually really like this. Initially the audience may believe that this is Barrett and Tifa's child as they live in the same house and the child has some of her features, but players of the original not otherwise, and the more the game progresses, the more we see Tifa is only a mother figure to Marlene. The earliest sign of this is obviously Marlene calling Tifa by her name rather than mother or something like that, because that'd just be a little bit disrespectful. We then get a smooth as fuck flirt from Cloud, might I add, which is also something I love. We also see an interaction between Barrett and Cloud and Marlene, and it is honestly so precious. It shows that Barrett really does have love for this child, and that, you know, he isn't just a big tough guy with a gun for an arm that people want to track down because of him being part of an eco-terrorist group. You know, you can see that their bond is apparent, and that Barrett really does want to do the best he can to be a good father. Anyways, Cloud is shown to his apartment while he and Tifa exchange words on the bombing run, and we once more get to see Cloud asking for
my money. You guys owe me 2,000, remember?
Which is hilarious, by the way. Anyways, as cool as the next scene is, I'm not a fan. Like, Cloud is walking by a noisy neighbour who he envisions as Sephiroth, pretty much. Because it's a hallucination. You know, his sword gets caught in the door, which is probably the best part about this cutscene in my opinion, because we never get to see the limitations on the weapon because of the environment. And as someone who owns a replica of the Buster Sword himself, I have smashed that thing against too many door frames to count. It's ridiculous. And mine isn't even to scale, it's just a little bit smaller. Anyways, so yeah. Cloud struggles to draw his sword, and when he does, he has a little bit of a shock. And Sevi Hippie Haparahara attacks Cloud. We almost kill him until Tifa stops us, but when Cloud is grabbed, he envisions black-hooded men in the northern crater, spouting until we flash back to reality to see that Sephiroth has become one of these men. It's a very confusing scene to new players and returning alike. It just feels forced, and I don't like it, but you will admit it's cool. Like, I understand why this is, you know, it's because the reunions people have been injected with Genova cells, and so is Cloud, so he's under the control of Sephiroth / Genova, so he's envisioning these black-hooded men to be Sephiroth. It's not actually him, it's just a vision. Anyways, after more sleep, we wake up to an incredible orchestral arrangement of FF7's main theme as we open our door to the slums, and the slums in the daylight. Oh my god! Just seeing the environments in all these different lights and seeing how it all just pieces together and seeing all the different things going on, it's so nice, and it expands Midgar so well to the point you feel like you're there. It's just a spectacle of seeing sunlight coming from the gaps between the plates. It's awesome stuff. Cloud mopes around Merc stuff, really. Like, he agreed to do Merc stuff with Tifa, but now he's moping about it because he's Cloud, you know, but it's his job, and you know, whatever. These are some admittedly filler tasks, you know, replacing pipes or, you know, doing things for the watch, etc. But I suppose it gets to see us how this, you know, the slums are more ordinary than we once think. But it also shows us how different the people who live there are, because obviously it's nothing like Earth, and they're all a little bit rowdy. You know, they live in the slums, they all have to work together. It's nice, but at the same time, it feels a little bit too much. But anyway, it is wonderful stuff. If you do complete all 6 main side quests you are set, by the way, you are awarded to a scene between Blondie and Boobs, where we get to know a bit about Cloud's proclaimed backstory as a soldier, which sounds tragic, by the way, if you're not aware. We are presented with a choice, actually, regarding an outfit for Tifa here, which the player thinks affects her outfit in a later to come scene in the next chapter or later on in this chapter, but in fact, this choice has an effect on her outfit a whole 6 chapters later, during the War Market section of the game. We head back to the bar to have 2 of Tifa's cocktails, one containing a very nice Easter egg in its name, before playing a darts minigame, which is surprisingly fun. We are informed by Jessie that we aren't in on the next mission, however, and that Cloud is now parting ways. A pointless yet humorous encounter with some goons later,
Like I give a shit.
and we have our best girl Jessie awaiting our return to our apartment to invite us on a mission. And this encounter is not only sweet, but it shows Jessie really does like Cloud despite his dickhead nature, and that she is really traumatized over the impact of the bombing run from chapter 1, as she believes it was her fault. We then acquire our first summoning materia and begin chapter 4 when we so choose. And there you have it. To give brief thoughts, chapter 1 was an incredible opening with high polish and amazing effects on the player. It couldn't have been handled any better, solid 10 out of 10. Chapter 2 is the longest feeling of the 3 due to its repetitiveness, in my opinion anyways, and some of the cutscenes do feel a little bit dragged out, but they're not boring. It's a great way to become more accustomed to the combat as well, 8 out of 10. Chapter 3 provides us an amazing look into life in the slums, as well as setting us up nicely for what we can expect to see later in the game, 8 out of 10. And there you have it, the first 3 chapters of FF7 Remake, and honestly great first few hours of the game that doesn't fall short anywhere at all. Next time I will be looking at chapters 4, 5 and 6, and compared to these 3, just to give some little bit thoughts, they are more interesting, yet some of them feel a lot longer and sometimes more dull. But I'll discuss that more next time. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care and have a good one.